Hello, my name is Caitlin Youngblood, and for my research project, I chose to focus on yerba mate, a tea that is made of mate leaves, which are extracted from the mate trees in a number of South American countries. I chose to focus on Argentina because it happens to be the world's largest producer of yerba mate. Throughout Argentina, yerba mate is known for its healthy and natural properties and its ability to provide a multitude of health benefits, which include but are not limited to the ability to provide individuals with energy without the consumption of caffeinated beverages. Because of the multitude of benefits that come as a result of consuming yerba mate, it has been a facet of Argentinian culture for a multitude of centuries. To gain a better understanding of what role yerba mate exportation, production, and consumption has played in the development of Argentinian culture over multiple centuries, I developed the research question: what socio-cultural and economic effects have been observed as a result of yerba mate consumption, exportation, and production in Argentina? I chose socio-cultural and economic factors as the two components that I would focus on for my research because the development of any society is heavily influenced by the social, cultural, and economic factors that are prevalent in that region. The research for this project was gathered through careful analysis and selection of scholarly journal articles that were able to articulate the socio-cultural, and economic relationships between yerba mate and Argentinian society best. In order to locate these articles, I used two very reliable databases, Google Scholar and JSTOR, that provided me with an abundance of journal articles based on the topic of yerba mate and its position in Argentinian society. To gather and locate journal articles that would actually be useful in answering my research question, I had to divide my research into segments. The first division that I made in the research that I found was based upon time period. Yerba mate consumption, production, exportation has been influencing Argentinian culture for a number of centuries, so it was important for me to divide and group the journal articles that I found so that I could get a better understanding of yerba mate was able to affect the development of Argentinian society over time. The next division that I made to gather my findings was based on whether the articles pertain to social, cultural, or economic effects. This was essential in my research process because I did not want one of the factors that I was studying to overshadow the other. I wanted to make sure that I was gathering abundant information for each to support both the socio-cultural and economic effects of yerba mate on Argentinian society. I also did careful research analysis and selection so that I can make sure that I found research that excluded bias and that was able to clearly describe the connection between yerba mate and the socio-cultural and economic effects that it had on Argentinian culture. I also had to make sure that I was finding articles that focus specifically on the socio-cultural and economic effects that came as a result of yerba mate consumption, exportation, and production. Because a number of the articles that I came across were solely focused on yerba mate's development of South American culture as a whole, which was too broad for my research question. Through my research, I found both a number of socio-cultural and economic effects that yerba mate consumption, exportation, and production had on the development of Argentinian society as a whole. In terms of socio-cultural effects, we see yerba mate being used as an alternative to alcohol which was very important because alcohol abuse was particularly high in Argentinian culture. Aside from this socio-cultural effect, we also see the use of yerba mate consumption as an indicator of social status within the society. Specifically, an individual's ranking within society was indicated by what type of bombilla they had, which can be seen in the top picture to the right. It's the small metal straw sticking out of the gourd. Aside from the social cultural effects that were seen in the development of Argentinian society, we also see a number of economic effects, specifically its role in causing poverty in some of its tea-producing regions, specifically in Misiones, where overwhelming power over the industry by the government and large producers has drained any economic benefit that could come from being involved in this industry from the poor rural farmers that actually harvest the yerba tree. On a more positive note, involvement in the yerba mate industry has greatly contributed to the economic growth and development of Argentina because they hold a monopoly over the industry, specifically countries like Paraguay and Brazil that also grow yerba are strictly regulated by the Argentinian yerba mate industry, which only allows them to produce raw materials that are usually exported through the Argentinian trade market. This has led to the development of a multi-million-dollar industry within the country. Because of the economic stronghold that Argentina has over the yerba mate industry, several decades ago, they denoted certain regions of the country as tea-producing regions that strictly focus on the production of yerba mate. A great example of one of these cities is Misiones, which was noted earlier as one of the regions that suffers from poverty, high levels of poverty, due to its involvement in the yerba mate industry. Aside from Argentina designating certain cities as tea-producing regions, we see, because of the high level of economic benefit that comes as a result of participation in the yerba mate industry, there has even been the creation of laws which punish individuals that improperly harvest leaves from the yerba tree, and to punish individuals that harvest the trees before they are completely ripe. Last but not least, the consumption of yerba mate has been found to increase work ethic within the Argentinian population due to its ability to provide consumers with large amounts of energy. To provide a better understanding of the connection between Argentina's involvement in exporting, producing, and consuming yerba mate, I've created a concept diagram. Basically, the exportation, production, and consumption of yerba mate has contributed to it becoming a fixture in Argentinian society, which has resulted in two groups of effects, specifically sociocultural effects, which I listed on the previous slide, and economic effects, which were also listed prior to. As my conclusion, I would say that involvement in the yerba mate industry through exportation, consumption, and production has had its share of benefits, and that can be analyzed according to the socio-cultural and economic effects that have been felt by the country. My goal in conducting this research was to provide a better understanding of how production and consumption of yerba mate within Argentina has affected the growth and development of the country as a whole. As stated earlier, analyzing the two factors of socio-cultural effects and economic effects was extremely beneficial because social, cultural, and economic factors are the keys to the development of any society. The implications of this research can definitely be expanded to provide a better understanding of how the consumption of certain foods and drinks have the ability to affect the socio-cultural and economic development of a society. In relation to the future implications of my research, I have included a picture of individuals consuming McDonald's, which obviously has a economic stronghold over the fast food industry, and that has played a role in the development of socio-cultural effects on American society.